Chances are you have more secret weapons in your arsenal than you thought possible. At transforming your old, worn-out brushes into powerful painting tools that'll take your art to the next level. My name's Anica, and I'll hopefully inspire you to look around, find these gems, and make the most of them. Know things that others don't. So let's get started. What we'll do is we'll look at these tools, we'll have a little play with them first, then finish off with a little painting. So let's get started. Let's go right back to the start when you've removed the plastic protective cover off your brand new brush and you threw it out. Now it's time for it to come back. You may have all seen how you can blow with a straw, but this is a shorter straw, so it might have different strength. So let's have a look. Well, that one didn't have enough paint, but let's just put it here. That one's much better. Now, how would that compare to a straw? I'm going to get a straw now. So here I have a little straw, and let's see how that compares. Going to get the same amount of paint, a nice little wet blob. The wetter the better. I just feel I have to blow more. There's the brush cover. Let's do it again. I find it easier to blow. There we go. Okay, so that was our brush cover. Now, that's not the only thing you can do with it. How about some circles? We can wet the sides, a little bit of a splatter. We can dip our tool in the water some more and get some beautiful effects. Look, this broken part of the brush will serve as an excellent tool for some branches. How about this? It's better than any brush I've ever seen. Look at this. I love that. So what I tend to do is, when I know that a brush can do something, I'll put a piece of masking tape on the brush and remind me, because I do forget. And now let's do something else. So here's a little awkward brush, very, very old. Let's really splay it out like this and dip it into some water. Green paint now this time. Twirl it around and let's add some nice little foliage to these branches. I don't think you could get nice little branches or little foliage like this with any normal brush. This is really special. The more water you have, I guess the less spiky it is. To make it a little bit more interesting, we can get some darker paint. So I'm going to go for this beautiful jadeite that I really love. I'm going to put it down in these areas here. Now we'll assume that the light's coming from this side, so I'll put it more on the shadow areas on that side. Of course, when the brush changes its shape, you need to make it really bad again. Splay them out. Now there is a tip. What we can do, and it doesn't even matter that the brush is wet at the moment. I'm just washing it out and drying it here with the tissue. Now I'm going to splay it out. You'd think these brushes were indestructible. And then I'm going to get a little bit of my masking fluid. Just put a blob there. And now I'll let it dry, which won't take long. And then this brush will stay like that. So here's another beautiful tool. Don't you just love it? Look at that. Now what else can we do? This particular brush, very wonky. Let's use the flat end of the brush. I haven't done anything to this brush. It's just as bad as it always has been. But look, nice little round red berries. Maybe we could get a different brush This one is just slightly fatter, ever so slightly, so it really doesn't make much of a difference. But still, it's been cut off nicer. The texture of the wood underneath is really taking the paint well, so you see that's a valuable asset. Look at that. If you have a look at this up close, it's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I really like that. Now, what we can do is with a little brush, while these berries are still quite wet, let's drop in, oh, that's a bit too much, but a little bit of dark on one side. We might, I'm washing my brush and adding just a little droplet of water as well. Now, if I go back to the broken brush that did the branches and connect these berries, they are a special variety. You can tell we have 10 grandkids because, you know, we have special varieties of everything. Berries. So now what should we do next? Now, this particular brush that you saw before, you might think it actually has a nice point. Well, it does to some degree, but this is a very old brush that has lost its spring, so it's kind of nearly hopeless. Look, it's not springing back. It's kind of awful. But let's see what we can use it with. Well, I'm washing my brush. I'm going to go for some yellow like this and load my brush up really well. You really have to play with your brushes to see what you can get out of them. Here I've made a beautiful circle like that. You might use it as a bit of bouquet in the background. I've just washed my brush and now I'm going to just move these colors around a bit. I can always add them back, but I like that. Okay, so that's another thing you can do, because this brush otherwise is hopeless. It's a really old acrylic oil brush, see, with the bristles. Now, what I like using these for is cutting them off right at the close to the ferrule, but leaving about just a little bit, like less than half a centimeter. Can you see that? And this is what we're left with. Can you see that? Okay, now when you touch this, it feels full, it feels quite firm. So this is an excellent scrubber for something that you want to rub out. There we go. This is a beautiful silver black velvet brush. It's also lost its spring. If we still have that point happening, we can use it for a beak of a bird. So let's turn the page of our sketchbook. I'm dipping my brush in water and I'm going to go for some indigo. Actually, something I want to do first. Let's use this brush and make a circle. Just a wet circle. Now I'm going to use this brush, so at about 10 o'clock on the circle, but away from the circle, I'm going to press it down and create a little beak. The circle is basically for the tummy of the bird, but you know, if it works out different, it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to do that and just blend this out. So there's our cute little birdie. We'll give him some detail later. And if you make his tummy nearly non-existent, he looks even better. So let's give him a branch to sit on. So we can go back to our beautiful branch maker. And I'm going to dip into some brown here. Look, there we go. And let's give him a beautiful branch. I love the way broken timber just makes these beautiful organic branches. Now, Now we can go back to the tool that we made before. So I've put a little bit of masking fluid in there, which is keeping all these hairs apart. So I'm going to dip it into water and go for some green. Now I can also use it on its side. Actually, it works better on its side now, but that's okay because now a bit of water. It's all experimental, this kind of stuff, and no two brushes in the world will be the same. What I'm going to do is, because this, let's say, is behind the bird, we'll make it a bit fuzzier because it's back there, so I'm going to spray it with a bit of water. There. And now for the front branches or foliage, I'm going to take this brush that we know is a bit useless anyway, so I'm going to splay it out like that. And now let's go into the green. If this brush that we use to paint the beak with still maintains its point, let's add a few different leaves into the mix, just for a little bit of interest. We can go back to our berries. We've got these small berries. I think I'd prefer the slightly larger ones. This one had a nicer, softer wood texture. So I'm going to dip it in water and go for some nice bright red and put in some berries. Now what I like to do is, where the paper's dry, so put the berry half on dry, half on wet. And then they'll all kind of intermingle, but there'll still be some sharpness to it, which is very nice. And we'll put some back here as well. And these particularly, it's good for these to just spread out because they're further away. We can get our little branch again and pull some lines from the berries, little stalks. See, they look particularly good if they're part of the berry. Let's try and give the birdie some detail with the stick. So I'm going to go for some indigo. The juicier the paint is, of course, the better. A little smile like that. And the bottom of his beak. And let's give him a little bit of an eyebrow. Now for his wings, we can go like that. And maybe just spread that out, and maybe give him some feet as well. What do you think? All out of very old tools. I've got a white jelly marker here, and let's just give his eye a little bit of a highlight. Our little bird is dry now, so I'm just going to touch a few things up. Let's give him a little bit of shadow under his wing. And now blur this part out, maybe make it a bit stronger. His tail could be a bit brighter, and his beak. And now I'm going to strengthen some of the leaves. And we still have to use, why don't we use our brush cover and add a little pizzazz to something. A little bit of pink maybe, and there we have it. That'll be our little birdie now. You shouldn't throw any brushes out, just save them for a rainy day and see what can emerge. If you've enjoyed playing with these odd tools and seeing all the things they can create, why not subscribe and join me again, because I've got lots more little tricks to share with you. It's all about letting loose and having fun, and that's where the creativity all comes together.